linked to very ancient practices of the time when we would live in tribes and we would live in these communities, and women would all be synced up to the same cycles. And so we would ovulate over the full moon and bleed over the new moon. And so over the new moon, women would take themselves out of society, away from the men, and they would come into the menstrual hut, the red tent. And it would be this very sacred time of women gathering and bleeding together, free bleeding into the earth, and really just sharing their wisdom. And it would be a space of women of all ages, from the young maidens to the mothers to the crones. And it would be this beautiful cross-pollination of wisdom and knowledge handed down through the generations of women on how to embody the feminine, how to live an authentic life, and how to honor that sacred time that is bleeding. And so the revival of Red Tent in modern times is about bringing this sacred nature back to women's lives, back to the understanding that when we bleed, we are in direct alignment with Source, and we are in direct alignment to receive messages and deep insights from our body and from the cosmos. And so it's really about how can we as women come into a direct alignment with this and really go against these patriarchal natures of we have to go, show up the same way every single day. And so what this brings into our lives is the understanding that when we bleed, we take time for ourselves, we rest, we nurture ourselves, and we nourish ourselves, so that when we go back to society, we have more energy to give, because we've already self-sourced our own love and our own nurturing. So that's what Red Tent is about. So how do I fit into this? So it was interesting, you guys spoke about 2019 being such a radical year of change, and that's actually when I had my personal spiritual awakening, and it actually was catalyzed by a health crisis, and I ended up basically having a 5 by 5 centimeter cyst on my ovary, and I had to go to hospital a month later and have that cut out. And so what ended up transpiring was that I had got this cyst because I was on birth control pill for 7 years, and I was unconsciously taking this pill, not realizing what it was doing to my body, because unfortunately we're not given an informed decision. We're not informed about what these chemicals and external birth control methods can do to our body on a very physiological level, that then translates to an emotional disconnection, a spiritual disconnection, and a mental disconnection. Because for those that do not know, the birth control works by turning off ovulation, and so our cycle is pretty much deleted, it is shut down. And so reclaiming this is one of my biggest purposes, to help women understand that if you are choosing certain types of birth control, you need to know the pros and cons. You need to be able to make informed decisions about what these chemicals are doing to you. Because on a very fundamental nature, the womb space within the female body, men also have an energetic womb. We all have sacral chakras. So the womb space within the female body is the energy powerhouse of the female body. And so through the patriarchal ages, we have become disconnected from the essence of the feminine. And this relates to the womb, the mother, and how we care for these processes that women go through, how we support mothers, how we support women who are bleeding, how we support women who are going through menopause, all these different life stages that are deep initiations for women to go through. And so Red Tent is about bringing awareness back to these initiations, and how can we create more honoring for women in our lives, and how can we support women? Because when mothers are supported, children are supported, and When mothers feel like they have a community surrounding them, they are less likely to be stressed, they're less likely to be activated in their nervous system, and that means that they have more, just more love to give to their own children, you know, and the ways we are brought up. And so it really trickles down to that very fundamental level of how is the womb being honored in our society. And unfortunately right now, we're not living in a society that understands the importance of these initiations. We're not living in a society that honors women in these ways. And so the Red Tent movement is about bringing this back to the modern world, because it is a very ancient practice. And these understandings are deeply ancient, deeply spiritual, deeply indigenous. And so, yeah, it's about bringing that back to modern society so that we can support women on a deeper level, a more spiritual level, a more emotional level. Because unfortunately, what birth control does is it disconnects us from our womb power. It disconnects us from that deep intrinsic intuition that stems from the womb. It disconnects us from being embodied. It disconnects us from our power.
That is the case for everyone, though.
No, it's not the case for everyone.
Have, everyone has a different effect to it. Like, you know, like somebody.
I'm just speaking on a general level here. Yeah. So what hormonal birth control does is it disconnects us from our power, because our pineal gland and our pituitary gland and our womb and our ovaries are not in communication anymore. And so that communication is what creates the embodied power. It's what creates the power that our natural hormones bring to us. You know, we have estrogen, which is the very feminine, sexy, like expressive, very sensual hormone, and then we have progesterone, which is the more calming, anti-anxiety, anti-inflammatory. And so women's bodies cannot make these hormones if we're not cycling naturally. And so a disconnect from our bodies in this way has created a disconnect in society. And so it's really about returning back to what is real, what is organic within us, and how can we, like I said, understand on an informed level what these birth controls do to us, and how can we just understand that when we choose something, we need to make informed decisions. You know, what are you giving up? Birth control has been listed as a known carcinogen, the birth control pill, and it disconnects us from our libido.
Is this I'm finding this talk a little bit, and I just want to anti-birth control, where like I thought this would be like more a talk on womanhood and stuff, and it's becoming like a very, like, I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry you feel that way. It wasn't meant to be that way at all.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to bring awareness to what the current challenges are, you know, and what.
Also, birth control is super important in society.
Definitely, obviously. And so what happened was, the pill, when it was invented, it gave women so much power and so much choice over their own bodies. But now that we are progressed beyond that, we have more information about how these things work. And so there are other options. Fertility awareness method is a natural contraception method that works through the body's own phases and cycles. So how can we connect back to our womb? How can we honor women in that way? So if you are a man, you can honor your partner or your friends through, or the women in your life, through when they are menstruating. You can give them that space. You can offer them support in that way. And us as women, we need to understand that when we go through these processes, it's a time for us to reclaim back our self-care and to nourish ourselves deeply by being connected back to our bodies, and by honoring that experience, that phase of our cycle as that deep initiation into ourselves, that deep connection back to ourselves. It's almost like a reset, a rest, a time to go inwards, a time to reflect on what has transpired before and what's coming afterwards, and how can we prepare ourselves. You know, it's a chance for us to have a mini ego death and to recalibrate, really. And so because we take that time, we can understand that we go through these fluctuations of hormones, and so our society is built for the male hormone, testosterone, which is the same every single day, which resets itself. And so us as women, we don't have that. We have natural cycles that fluctuate across the month. And so when we can understand that we don't need to show up the same way every day, we can have a lot more self-compassion and a lot more self-understanding and self-awareness that feeling different every day is normal. You know, not pushing yourself when you are going through something intense emotionally, or not pushing yourself when you are feeling down or tired or processing deep experiences that are coming, deep emotions that are coming to the surface. And because what we do generally is we push that aside because we think that work is more important, social life is more important, society is more important, because we just haven't been taught how to take care of ourselves as women in a female body. You know, and how can we understand that these phases fluctuate and develop that deeper self-compassion for ourselves within those different phases, you know, to have more self-awareness, to reconnect back to our womb space and to honor the womb space as this deep, this portal of life, you know. The female body has been chosen as this life giver, as this initiation into bringing children into this world. And so when we can do that from a very calm, very self-aware place, we can give more to the world and have more understanding of how we can be more conscious with ourselves, with our family, with our children, and really come back to what our bodies are asking of us, and honor our wombs in that way. And really honor the fact that, you know, being intimate with someone is it's a very deep process, and it's a spiritual process. And how can we bring more awareness back to these processes? And, you know, your beautiful vaginarium is a temple to these processes, and is a temple to this portal, you know, and that's sacred and that's beautiful. Yeah, and it's really about how can we reclaim our womb sovereignty? How can we reclaim our personal honoring? How can we reclaim our self-care, not from a place of selfishness, but from a place of, this is what I need to do for myself, because society is not going to give that to me. And when we can be deeply self-sourced, we can give so much more, we can create so much more, because the womb is not only a creation portal for babies, it is a creation portal for creativity in general, for birthing projects into this world, for creating art, for creating music, for any sort of creation process. And that all comes through the sacral chakra, through the womb space. And so when we can bring awareness to certain things that interrupt these processes, whether that be sexual trauma, whether that be abortion, whether that be, disconnection from your menstrual cycle, whether you experience pain or any sort of disconnection, I invite you to see that as a message from your body to come back to yourself, rather than feeling disconnected from your body, feeling let down from your body. How can we come back closer to our body and see these messages on a deeper level?
So, can I just ask something?
Yeah.
So, can you give us like 2 methods of how you would like approach connecting to that space? Like, for instance, I know that you do a lot of like sacral meditation, but then also like yoni steaming, which I think is something that would be quite interesting to know about. Like, just because that also helps with like, just in general health.
Yeah, so there's many ways that we can reconnect back to our womb. One of the most important ones is feeling our emotions. The womb and the sacral chakra is the house of the emotions in the body. And so just by feeling our emotions and being real with ourselves and allowing ourselves to go through those emotional processes, not shaming ourselves, and just allowing that. Like Liv said, yoni steaming is a really, really incredible ancient practice that can bring us back to our bodies and release tension.
Because some people don't
Oh,
know.
sorry, for people who don't know what yoni steaming is, so vaginal steaming. It is basically you make a tea with herbs that are beneficial to the body, beneficial to anti-inflammatory and to relaxation. And so it's like a sauna for your vagina, basically. And so it relaxes your vaginal canal, it relaxes your cervix. And so from this place of relaxation, we can receive so much more pleasure and have more enjoyable menstrual cycles, because there's not that tension and pain that's created from that tension. Another way that we can connect back to our womb space is just through simple deep belly breathing. Just placing your hand on your womb, whether you're having a bath or you're having a shower, just taking those little minutes for yourself throughout your day. You know, if it's 5 minutes, whether it's 10 minutes, it doesn't really matter. Just reconnecting your conscious awareness back to this space of sacredness, and bringing awareness back to that space. It's also about being confrontational with yourself about who you let into that space on an energetic level. Who are you allowing into your sacred yoni temple, you know? And so it's being aware that is the person I'm letting into this space, do they have integrity? Are they honoring my boundaries? Are they honoring the sacredness of this interaction? Other ways that we can connect back to our womb space, like I said, is embodied bleeding, taking time for yourself during that phase of your cycle. Other ways that we can do this are also self-pleasure. That is something that has been deeply taken away from women in our society. And so as women, we can reclaim our pleasure for ourselves. Like I said, that's self-sourcing, that's self-nurturing. And start talking about these taboo topics, because the only reason they are taboo is because the patriarchy wants them to be taboo. And when things are secret, the power gets taken away. And so the more we speak about these topics, the more we speak about and just be open with our male and female friends, like, oh, I'm really not feeling well, I'm PMSing right now, like, can you just give me some space? Can you just, you know, and can we be more real? Because we all come from a womb, we all come from the vagina, and so can we be more real with what women go through? Because unfortunately, women have been taught to suffer in silence, and that's not the way anymore. You know, we can be open about our suffering, and we can speak about it and share that with our friends and family and ask for support during those times, you know, and we don't have to suffer in silence, we don't have to suffer alone anymore. And through this reclamation of self-care, of connection to the womb, we are literally dismantling patriarchy through our body, through our own connection, through dismantling these constructions that have been placed on us, and reclaiming back our own natural ability to be connected to ourselves. So thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.